Chapter 1. Distance. It had been raining heavily for a couple of days in the ruined city of Manchester, now reduced to a green overgrown corpse of its former self after 3 years of abandonment. Somewhere, in the ruined suburbs, not too far from the derelict heart of the city, a terraced house window sits slightly ajar, the black mouldy neck curtain briefly bobs out, then into the swell of the breeze. Behind a faint outline of a face can be seen staring out into the desolate street. Then a brief whisper can just be heard. How am I supposed to make any progress if it's just pissing it down all the time? The whispered voice sounding dreary and worn out. Through the window sat a middle-aged man with fair skin slightly beginning to show its age, pale blue eyes, and a shortish beard of dark brown colour, with the odd grey coming through. Same can be said for his hair, which sat almost shoulder-length protruding from his dark navy blue hat. At a glance you could see all the hardships this man had endured. After staring out of the window, looking frustratedly lost for around a minute, the man turned back to the room and glanced at his watch. The sun wouldn't be setting for 5 more hours. But he couldn't push on through this deluge. Getting everything soaked could cause big problems, ones that in the worst-case scenario spell death. So he slowly and quietly started about unpacking his bag, stopping for a moment remembering he needs to secure the room first, preferably the house, but that always proves more difficult, what with all the broken ground floor windows. After standing up and pausing for another moment, he proceeded to head downstairs. After carefully descending the stairs, trying to avoid too many creaky boards, he stared about the hallway looking for anywhere a key to the house, maybe hiding. Almost immediately he spied them hanging on a hook below a broken mirror. Swiping them up, briefly observing the small stuffed pig key ring that indicated this set belonged to a child. Refusing to give it any more thought, he made straight for the door, which was fully ajar upon arrival, and still partially open due to a branch stuck in the threshold. Crouching down, he opened the door, slowly glanced out of the door, onto the street, cupping his ears for a silent second to see if anything could be heard. After making short work of removing the obstruction, the door closed with a slight creak, and the key turned nicely to an audible muffled clack. Heading to the kitchen, where the rear door to the house resided, which he already knew was locked, after grabbing some canned food from it earlier, he decided to check the condition of the windows in the living room. There it is, the source of the smell, he thought. He was stood motionless, staring at a desiccated corpse strewn across an armchair, a woman wearing a poncho blanket and pajamas that were torn in a struggle she did not survive, from the old yellow and black stains coming from her neck. It seemed she was lucky enough to avoid a life of torment that most people have had to endure when they survive such an encounter. It was a musty, sweet, earthy smell that is far more tolerable than in the first couple of years after it all started. Still, it was still a revolting smell that turned the stomach. After glancing the windows in the living room and joining dining room, he let out a sigh of relief. All the windows were intact. This was a rare case indeed. After closing the living room door and stuffing a nearby rug at the foot of it as a pathetic attempt to contain the smell, he returned to the room he had chosen to rest for the night. The desk chair fit under the door handle perfectly, alongside a simple rubber wedge he found under the bathroom door. Staring blankly for a moment, he slowly returned from his brief trance and rubbed his face and neck to ease his tension just a little. I have to make the most of this and kick my feet up for a while, he thought. He slowly and wearily made his way to the bed, shuffling his bag and unpacked belongings alongside it. He picked up the duvet and gave it a sniff. Revealing it to be stale-smelling, he threw it on the floor, replacing it with his sleeping bag. Grabbing a can of chili and spoon, a tin opener, a pouch of tobacco, a small bottle of vodka, and a copy of Great Britain Road Atlas 2028 from his backpack, he placed them all one by one next to his sleeping bag on the bed. What started as a steady crawl onto the bed turned into a careless flop of exhaustion and awkward shuffle to find the most comfortable position. With a sudden freeze, he began to lay and listen in case he had nonchalantly created too much noise, putting an ear to the wall of the neighboring house to sense if any activity could be heard. Nothing. Thank God. Exhaling a quiet, nervous yet relieved sigh, he unscrewed the cap of the small vodka bottle and took a liberal gulp, attempting to ease his nerves. The man lay there motionless for a good while, as if deep in thought and low in mood. Taking another gulp of the vodka, he observed the bottle with an unchanged blank look on his face. I always find more, so might as well have the rest. There's probably some type of booze in the kitchen downstairs, he thought. He reached for his can of chili and road atlas and began to properly nestle down to pass the time and bring the evening. Storm's getting further away. Hope the rain fucks off with it, he thought. The man awoke to pitch black and the sound of a nearby owl. As peaceful as this was to the man, sound draws attention. It's gone. It wouldn't have known I was here, he thought to himself. After waiting with bated breath, he closed his eyes and tried desperately to fall back to sleep with little chance of it actually happening. The man awoke to the sound of a beautiful dawn chorus flowing in from the latched open window. To his astonishment, he had actually managed to fall back to sleep, a sign of how desperately he must have needed it. After a slow churn, he adjusted himself face up, eyes open, to assess his condition. To his surprise, he felt quite well rested. Maybe a little parched from the vodka, but otherwise good. Sparing little time, he shuffled himself upright to a seated position on the bed. Looking at his watch, which said 6:25, he gave the dial a couple of turns. Grabbing his road atlas, he opened it to reveal a piece of paper with directions scribbled on it and revised them for a moment. With the sheet of paper removed, a page of the atlas revealed Great Britain in its entirety. A jagged line marked from the city of Exeter going all the way up to Manchester. This could only mean one thing. He had walked all that way, and his journey wasn't over. Tucking the map into one of the more accessible pockets of his backpack, he gathered and packed all his possessions. Lastly, fully opening the window to grab a water canteen and jug he had left outside on the windowsill, then filling his canteen to the brim before drinking a decent amount left in the jug. Eating a cereal bar all the while, he was ready to set off. Donning the backpack, coat, and picking up what looked like a rounder's bat that had been fashioned into a weapon, he removed the barricade. Glancing once more at the room, he went downstairs to the front door of the house. Cautiously, he unlocked the door, leaving the key in it, and glanced outside, checking both directions of the street to check if it was safe to go. Leaving the safety of the house, he was enveloped by birdsong and early morning sunlight. It's time to go,